Your attribution dashboard is lying to you, and most CMOs are paying millions for the privilege of being misled.
That's exactly the problem. Companies like Procter and Gamble and Airbnb have publicly walked back their reliance on last-click attribution after discovering they were essentially paying Google and Meta to take credit for sales that would have happened anyway.
So what's the core failure point in how most attribution models are built?
They were engineered for a world where users stayed on one device, cookies lived forever, and the customer journey was linear. None of those things are true in 2024. The average B2C purchase now involves 7 or more touchpoints across 4 or 5 channels, and most attribution models are collapsing that complexity into a single number.
Give me a concrete example of how that distortion plays out in budget decisions.
A mid-sized DTC brand I worked with was funneling 60% of their media budget into paid search because it consistently showed the highest ROAS on their dashboard, around 4 to 1. When we ran a geo-based holdout test, cutting paid search in specific markets entirely, revenue dropped by only 8%. Their actual incremental ROS was closer to 1.2. They had been over-investing by roughly 40% for 2 years.
Holdout testing sounds rigorous, but it's also slow. What's the practical objection CMOs raise?
That you're sacrificing short-term revenue to run the test. But consider the alternative. You're already sacrificing long-term efficiency by not knowing the truth. Meta's own conversion lift studies regularly show that 30 to 50% of conversions attributed to their platform would have occurred organically. If you're not stress testing your model, you're just funding their margin.
What about companies that have invested heavily in multi-touch attribution platforms? Are they better positioned?
Marginally, but MTA has its own structural limits. It still depends on deterministic user-level data, which iOS 14 and signal loss have largely destroyed. Companies like Northbeam and Triple Whale are doing impressive work, but even they'll tell you privately that their models are probabilistic at best. They're better than last click, but they're not ground truth.
So if no model is fully reliable, how should a CMO actually make budget allocation decisions?
Use a triangulation approach. Run incrementality tests for your highest spend channels quarterly. Layer in media mix modeling for the macro view. It handles offline channels and longer time horizons. And maintain a baseline of brand search volume as a leading indicator of real demand generation. Netflix does this. They treat brand search lift as a primary signal that their upper funnel spend is actually working.
One thing every CMO listening can do before their next budget review?
Pull your top 3 channels, identify the last time you ran a true holdout test on each one, and if the answer is never, that's your entire agenda for the next quarter.